All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome you all to the regularly scheduled city council meeting for the governing body of Spring Hill on Thursday, September 25th, 2025. If you guys could stand with me, Mrs. Feeback is going to do the invocation for us today.
Okay, let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, I just thank you for bringing us here today. As we come before you with some decisions for our wonderful community, we just pray that you're with us, and we want to make the right decisions for the citizens of Spring Hill and for the families. We just ask you to continue to be with our city and with our country. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm sorry, man. Got every other. No big deal.
Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mr. Peel?
Here.
Mr. Thron?
Here.
Mrs. Feeback? Here. Mr. Grant? Mayor, we do have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We did get a request to remove the presentation from Chairman Mike Kelly and then also to add an executive session number 3 for 20 minutes. Other than that, are there any requested changes? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is citizen participation. This is the time when the public can come and speak about anything they would like to talk about. We did not have anyone sign up on the list, but if there's anyone out in the audience that would like to speak, now would be your time.
I kind of wanted not to say anything, but when you added the third one tonight, how do you guys be transparent when you get so many executive sessions that are behind closed doors? I just don't understand that. Are you guys buying land and you want to make sure that nobody outbids you or something? I just don't understand it. It's a whole lot of, kind of like we heard once before. It's just, I don't understand it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You ain't got any idea what they're going on, do you? You never have talked at these meetings. I was just wondering if you knew what was going on.
Excuse me.
Oh, you think
Yes,
so?
ma'am. All right. Anyone else? And just to address that a little bit, some things we just legally cannot talk about in public meeting. So that's the reason that we have executive sessions, is because legally we're not allowed to talk about them in public meeting. So if we do, it would be a violation of law. So it's not about not trying to be transparent. We try to be as transparent as possible. It's about the law. Anyone else? If not, we'll go ahead and close citizen participation at this time. We'll move on to a presentation. It's the public safety sales tax renewal for Johnson County. And, oh, that's the one we X'd out. Never mind. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These are items that the staff considers to be routine maintenance, but if there are any questions or comments, now would be the time. If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is the formal council action, and the first one on that list is consider approval of ordinance number 2025-15, rezoning Z25-1R1 to C2. And Mrs. Long, you have the floor.
Good evening. Tonight we bring you a rezoning application for 20175 Woodland Road. So southeast corner of Woodland Road and Woodland Connect is what I call it, west of Woodland Crossing. The applicant and owner wants to go from R1 single family to general business district, which is C2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and they recommended approval 600. And that's about it. So I'm here for any questions.
This was on the last meeting for Planning Commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one that had no sound.
Yes, that's
Okay, so
correct.
I just want to make sure there wasn't any public comment or anything.
No, not on this one.
Okay.
There wasn't.
I didn't look like it, but I wanted to make sure.
No.
I mean, it seems like a good spot. We need more C2, so if they're planning to do something there, it'd be great. So,
Yeah, I thought the guy had pretty good ideas there. I think it was, sounds like a good plan for that corner, so I don't see any issues with it.
There is an existing property there, is that correct?
Yeah, it's almost 6 acres and he has a building currently on it right now.
And he kind of just rebuilt that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Fairly recently.
And is that a residence?
It is not.
It is not?
No.
Okay.
I think he kind of,
But that will be staying there?
Yeah, so he got up and spoke to planning commission. He kind of proposed potentially maybe doing some sort of like event space, like an event center, and using that building, but he wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
and he said they currently use it for different functions and
Yeah.
stuff.
It kind of
Groups
looks like
and
a
different stuff.
bachelor pad
Yeah.
event place. There's a little patio on the back
Yeah.
with a grill and stuff, so I just didn't know what it was, and seemed like it had been renovated recently.
Yeah, he just uses it for family and friends right now.
And is that the one they were talking about, like the food truck stuff and things like that?
He may have brought that up, yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I don't see a problem with that.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-15 for rezoning application Z-25-1 from R1 to C2.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Theron,
Yes.
Mrs. Feback,
Yes.
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-15 passes 500.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of ordinance number 2025-16 rezoning Z25-2 to R2 to RP1 and approval of the associated amended preliminary plat for Oakwood subdivision. And Mrs. Long, you still have the floor.
All right, this one has been before you a couple of times before. It was originally RP1 and then they went to R2, I think, last year. And now they want to go back to the single family, so the RP1. Going back from RP1, or back to RP1, it reduces the overall density of the lots throughout the Oakwood subdivision. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing, and it was recommended for approval 600. And the preliminary plat was also looked at. Nothing really.
Yeah, this was a big one back when I went to R2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think,
was upset, so.
I
Yeah.
think this is a huge positive going back. to
Yeah, we
single
did
family.
have one lady that lives in the neighborhood come, and she was in favor of it going back to RP1.
Yeah,
Saw
I,
that.
I think it kind of finishes out that corner kind of nicely over there.
Yeah.
Kind of ties everything together, so.
Yep.
I'd agree.
Everything fits within code over there as far as lot sizes and everything?
Correct.
RP1.
Yes.
So are we just approving the rezoning, or are we doing the,
You'll also the amended preliminary plat.
is that the next one, or is that all together in this one?
It should be all
Okay,
together.
it's all together.
And I couldn't quite tell on the map, I didn't, but is the only entrance is going to be the two edges off of the subdivision that's already present there? There's not gonna be another entrance off of, the
That's
exterior?
correct.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what I thought. It looked like it was just tying into the two existing
Yes.
hubs that are already there.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
The only question I had was, will this eventually Sycamore connect to Sycamore so that there's two different ways to get in and out of this?
Yes, it's supposed to go through, yeah, those for
Basically, this will tie
Maplewood.
in to the dead end of the aquatic center.
Correct.
At some point.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be nice when that
That's good.
happens, cause.
And then eventually that 200 and, what is that,
219th, we
19?
could probably
That'll
figure out a way to
eventually,
get that down, yeah.
it's proposed to go down.
Try to get that to Webster somehow.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 2025-16 for rezoning application Z-25-2 from from R2 to RP1 and the associated amended preliminary plat for Oakwood subdivision.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mr. Theron,
Yes.
Mrs. Feback,
Yes.
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-16 passes 500.
Thank you
you.
very much. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of task order number GBA-2025-01 with George Butler Associates, or GBA, for the assistance with building inspection services on a time and expense basis. And Mrs. Abel, you have the floor.
Okay, so the item before you is a request to approve a task order with George Butler Associates, or GBA. We had one of our employees leave a couple of weeks ago, our only building inspector, who worked full-time. In order to bridge that gap before we hire a new building inspector, we needed to continue providing that service. So we looked at a couple of different companies, and GBA was one of our on-calls through the engineering on-call contract that we approved back in January. We contacted them. They had somebody that could start right away. So we've got somebody embedded here at the city to help provide those building inspection services to, again, bridge that gap until we get a full-time employee to fill that position. We have outlined in the on-call agreement the hourly wages, the hourly rates, and any other expenses that would be compensated. We have estimated that between now and the end of January that we will not exceed that $76,000, just so that we have a cap that we can manage. We feel confident that that is sufficient enough and time and expense in order to help us get through that. Since this was an emergency, we went ahead and worked through Lane's approval authority so that we could get somebody the next day, so that we could, again, continue on with all of those building permit inspections and everything, since we are so busy right now. So with that, staff recommends approval of the task order with GBA. I'm available if you have any questions.
I think my question just is, I understand because it's temporary and somebody left. And I think Lane and I kind of talked about it. Is the position posted now?
It is.
Okay.
And I think Mona Keisha could probably give you a better update on that, but
That's okay.
it's-
I just want to make sure it was posted and you guys are actively pursuing that position getting filled.
In the process of interviewing.
Interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My only question, because I don't see it on here, what's the difference in cost from what the end of the year for an employee in that position? Do we have an estimate of what that cost was? Because it doesn't say in here like what the difference in the,
Well, that's hard to calculate just because you've got not only the wages that you would get,
Plus
but
the
all the benefits and
Yeah.
everything like that. So, we're probably spending a little bit more in order to, get somebody from an engineering firm
Yeah.
to come in at a 3-point multiplier. If you were to look at the wages, we're probably paying a third more
Okay.
than what we would have for
So
an
that's
employee.
better than I thought. I was thinking it'd be at least double, so.
Well, you do have the benefits.
Yeah, that's right. I
that
figured the
factor into
benefits would
that
do a
as
little
well.
bit of that, but that's good. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, when things come up, we have to make a decision, so.
Did you have something to add, Lane?
Yeah, we're also working with Johnson County and trying to get an agreement with them to get some of their staff to come down here and help too. So
Okay.
that way it'll give us two options, whether to utilize this individual with GBA or staff member from Johnson County.
Will that come to us depending on what the cost is, so we can approve that?
Yeah, it'll come back through. It'll be probably some type of contract, interlocal agreement for use of personnel.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't ideal, but yeah, the quicker we can move on and get a new person there, it'd be great.
Well, and having that interlocal relationship, I know other cities around Overland Park utilize some of Overland Park's engineers and inspectors through an interlocal. Some of those smaller cities like Fairway and Mission and stuff that may not have that level of staff or not have that need for a full-time employee. So maybe it's a great way for us to bridge that gap.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I would just go back and say, we talked about this last meeting. I always love to see if we can get at least an estimate on what the difference in cost would be, because here, it wasn't, I know Rhonda's not here, but just in the future, I'd like to see that. This one, I know we have to do it, but I just like to see what the difference actually is, just so we have a roundabout. It doesn't have to be exact, but just so we have a good figure.
Yeah, hopefully
Okay.
we don't have to do this for very long and we'll
I
get
know.
a full-time employee
Yeah.
in that position.
Yeah, all right.
Any other questions?
No.
If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve task agreement number GBA 2025-01 with GBA for assistance with building inspection services on a time and expense basis, and will work to establish a not to exceed amount. Total fees for these services shall not exceed $76,000 without prior approval from this body.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of ordinance number 2025-17, amending chapter 20 of the Spring Hill Municipal Code regarding sewer benefit areas. And Mr. Lau, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Earlier this year, we created Chapter 20 of our city code that creates a sewer benefit area through resolution, which you all did for the Northeast Sewer Interceptor. And it generally allows a landowner to pay their share of a sewer extension at a later date when they're ready to develop. So the goal was to provide them some flexibility, as opposed to a state benefit district, which starts adding up right away, and until they sell off any properties or develop it, the developer and owner is on the hook for that. So we're trying to find some alternative source. As we worked through that process, we had two things come up as far as flexibility for you all in the city that we wanted to come back and amend that code as we're kind of working through the first application of it. So this ordinance makes two changes. The first change is that the payment is due at the time of platting. So when we kind of passed this, I think for the most part, staff was envisioning this being used for a lot of commercial industrial. And now that we're seeing some residential pop up, there's some questions on, for large, 100-acre developments that are going to be built slowly over phases. Having one payment right up front is not necessarily the flexible alternative we were envisioning. So payment upon platting allows them to pay as each plat comes in, which spreads that out a little more and kind of furthers the goal of this. And that won't really affect a large industrial development because there's going to be just one single plat for that. The second change is at the very end, which is in 2109. It creates subsection B. So one of the things we've been running into is as we're acquiring easements and property on which to build some of this infrastructure, we're paying landowners for those real estate rights, and then they're coming back and paying us when they want to hook in, and it's just sort of a shell game of back and forth with the same money. So this allows the city to, where it makes sense, this is kind of an exception to the rule, just kind of reach an agreement with an offsetting amount. So we would bring this to you as part of our costs, as part of the resolutions. Probably not going to be used for easements, but where the city needs to acquire land to build a lift station or any other infrastructure that we will own, rather than pay someone for that land and then have them come back a year later and pay us back to hook in, we'll just offset their total payment. So if they owe us $1 million and the value of the land is $50,000, well, they'll just owe us $950,000 at the time of hookup. Just kind of makes it more flexible. Again, furthers the intent of this chapter, which was to help developers pay when they're ready to pay, as opposed to incur costs or just leave land without sewer. So that's kind of the two changes here.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments?
My only comment is the reason it makes sense for me is I think we had a developer, I don't know, it's been a year or so maybe. I don't know if you remember that guy, Brian, that had the land there on Woodland that he was upset because we didn't approve his plat or the rezoning. And he had paid for the sewer years and years ago through the process that we had before. So this makes it a little bit more flexible so that we don't feel like we have to do anything. And then, it gives us a little bit of flexibility. They haven't already paid out of pocket for something and we feel like we have to do it. So that's why I like this.
Yeah. No, and the point here is to allow the city's professional staff, who does this every day and is in daily communication with some of these developers, to work through that agreement. So when they bring you something, we've had a chance to make the best deal for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good for both parties. So.
Having flexibility is usually a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't require the city to do anything extra. It just gives it another something in the toolkit.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2025-17, amending chapter 20 of the Spring Hill Municipal Code.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mrs. Feback?
Yes.
Mr. Peel?
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Thron,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-17 passes 500.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is consider approval of amendment number 4 to the professional services agreement with Brungart, Hanamichael and Company, PA, to provide construction observation for 199th Street, Ridgeview Road to Renner Road improvements. And Mrs. Abel, you still have the floor.
Okay, the next item before you is a request to consider the amendment to BHC's agreement for 199th Street from Ridgeview to Renner. We've been working on the design. We're getting ready to start the construction. We actually had our pre-proposal meeting or pre-bid meeting today with the contractors. The bids should be coming here in the next week and a half, or 2 weeks from today. So our next step is to start construction. In order to do this, we need to have an on-site constructor on-site inspector full-time. To continue the service, BHC has offered their services with the construction inspection team. I came before you last time with the proposal. The request was to provide a little bit more information on the budget, so I included in the staff report some of the initial costs that were pulled from the CARS application. So we had our anticipated construction costs, the engineering and survey services, construction admin and construction observation, which would be this part of the budget, materials testing, right-of-way, and utility adjustments. So we had included in there $500,000 for our acquisition for our easements and right-of-way. We did not spend all of that. So we do have some savings in that line item. Under construction admin and observation, we had budgeted $467,500. This task order or this contract amendment is within that budget, which is $322,810. So we had previously accounted for this in our project budget, and we will spend less than that for the project overall. With that, staff recommends the approval of amendment number 4 with Brungart, Hanamichael and Company for the extension of the construction, administrative, and observation services for the 199th Street project. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you for coming with that information. I know you explained it really well last time, but now we have more detail.
I got numbers this time.
Yeah, it's nice to see it all broken down there, I think, for all of us.
Thank you.
Do you expect any more coming out of that portion of the observation budget, or is this kind of what'll cover the entire project? It's $320.
We anticipate that it covers the entire project. In the task order, they had initially given us 40 hours a week, full-time work for the time between spring and the end of the year. I had asked them to put more time in to the budget because, or into the project task order to account for an early start. Hopefully we'll have the contractor out there in November to start on some of the utility work and mobilization and maybe get some of the things going that they can do over the winter months as they can get it going, so that they can maybe try to get that done earlier and then work on the roadway work starting in the spring. So we anticipated that, so I had them include that in their overall budget. So this should be, barring any issues, what it should be.
So still well within what you budgeted for?
It's still well within with what we budgeted.
That's perfect. That's all I know I was looking for, I think. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
appreciate you getting those numbers for us.
Informed consent is how I like to label it, knowing exactly what we're saying yes or no to is what I need.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I entertain a motion.
I'm gonna abbreviate this.
Please do. You
BHC.
can say BHC.
All right, move to approve amendment number 4 to the professional services agreement with BHC PA to provide construction observation services for the 199th Street, Ridgeview Road to Renner Road improvements, and authorize the mayor and staff to execute the contract amendment.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider authorization of staff to submit an application for the Kansas Water Office Grant Program, and Mrs. Abel, you still have the floor.
Okay, it wouldn't be a meeting without me asking for a grant, so the next item before you is a request to submit a grant application for the Kansas Water Office Grant Program. Continue to get some of these emails about grant opportunities and everything. This one piqued my interest, so I dug a little bit deeper just to see what we could do. So the state of Kansas has this grant opportunity available. They have up to $1 million available for technical assistance for funding this grant. This is during the design phase. So $1 million during the design phase, and then they have up to $8 million for the construction phase. So what better project than the wastewater treatment facility? Because we're gonna have millions and millions of dollars that we're gonna need for that. And if we can cover it with grant funding, that's less money that we have to take out in loans, less interest that we're gonna have to pay, and overall, that's gonna help us out as far as our project budget. So we anticipate that we have $130 million that's programmed into the budget for the wastewater treatment plant. That's our max. We're gonna try to work within the confines and, you know, kind of adjust that as we had the design build team in a couple of weeks ago to kind of talk about the process. So we're gonna further refine that process, but our cap is that 130. So if we can add that $9 million to bring down that total cost, would love to do that. So the grant application is due on September 30th. So we'll continue to work on getting that submitted by next week. That is next week. So,
It is.
whew, I can't believe September's over. So anyway, with that, staff recommends the approval of authorizing us to submit this grant.
And this one doesn't require any kind of matching funds from us, which I liked.
Yeah.
From what I read.
Yeah, that's what I got.
So that's good. So yeah, if there's nothing for us on this end, I mean, why not?
Well, we're gonna have quite a match on this one
Yeah.
at $130 million.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. For this particular grant, you know, that looks good.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to authorize staff to submit an application for the Kansas Water Office Grant Program.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of a temporary construction easements and permanent drainage easements for the 199th Street Ridgeview to Renner Roadway Improvement Project. And Mrs. Abel, you still have the floor.
Okay, we're almost done with 199th Street. We are down to the last couple of easements. Wanted to bring these over to you. We've got deed of dedication on the McEnany property. We've got temporary construction easement, drainage easements, and then we have pipeline easement on the THS investment property on the south side of 199th Street. So again, this covers a good majority of what we needed to move forward. We've got two remaining easements that are in the process. One hopefully got signed last night. So fingers crossed, we're going to be really close. We're going to have all the easements acquired, easements and right-of-way acquired before we sign the contract with the contractor. So hopefully we'll get there sooner rather than later. Wanted to include this into the action agenda just because we did have such a high dollar amount with the deed of dedication for the right-of-way. Right-of-way costs more than the rest of the easements, so that number is fairly high, but we needed that right-of-way in order to construct the roadway and the trails and everything else on the north side of 199th Street. So wanted to bring that to your attention. We did have the northeast sewer easements. We did have that on consent. Those were low dollar amounts, so those belong on consent. This was high enough that we wanted to bring it before you. So with that, staff recommends the approval of the easements and right-of-way for the 199th Street project. I am available if you have any questions.
Where are we at as far as with the budget on this? Are we doing pretty good?
We are doing really well. I thought I had that in.
I think the budget's $1 million.
Yeah, budget's $1 million, but I didn't know where we were sitting with only 2 properties.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how much we have.
Yeah,
Total.
that is a really good question. Again,
Because I feel like we've gotten pretty good dollar numbers out of most of these.
I
We-
mean, this is probably one of the bigger ones we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
if
feel
all
like
the rest
we're
of them are
about,
smaller than this, then.
There was just more of them,
We
yeah.
may not be halfway to the million.
I think we're more than halfway, but we're definitely doing pretty good with only 2 left.
Yeah,
We should be well under a million.
I think
Yeah.
we're somewhere around 6 something.
I think we're about 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, so. Well, cool. No, I think doing good. I know this is all necessary, so.
Yeah, well, and also remember, we've got the school districts that we were going to reduce their payment for the trail in
So
lieu
that can come
of
out of there, yeah.
paying them, so that reduces our number by only $6,000, but still every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
None, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve the temporary construction and permanent drainage easements associated with the 199th Street Ridgeview to Renner roadway improvement project. Authorize the mayor to sign the easement agreements and authorize the finance department to issue payment to the property owners as outlined above.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. That ends formal council action. At this time, we'll move on to a discussion item. The first discussion item is on golf cart ordinance, and Chief Sutterby, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Good to see everybody tonight.
Yeah.
So this is a very complicated and complex issue. And it's gotten more complex since I began looking into it a little bit more in depth. And the reason, like, first of all, I want to say that I support the expansion of being able to use golf carts more throughout the city and UTVs. The challenges that we have as a city is that we have a lot of unincorporated property within the middle of our city. Those properties are governed by Johnson County and state statute rather than city ordinance. So that's one issue that we have, because if you're looking at the north end of Spring Hill coming to the south, there's really not a street that comes through all the way to the Old Town area where City Park is, or the downtown area now, that doesn't go through Johnson County in some portion. The other challenge that we have is that state statute requires that golf carts can only be operated on streets that are 30 miles an hour or less. And they have to be able to have lights if you're gonna operate them after sunset or before sunrise. And so we can't make a law that's more lenient than that. In this particular case, I spoke with Spencer about this. He can vouch for me on this, but so we have to keep that ordinance at least 30, at the max 30 miles an hour and under. The other challenge that you have is that we do not have a lot of streets within Spring Hill that are 30 miles an hour. And so most of the streets that we have are 35 miles an hour that run, especially 35 miles an hour or higher that run on the north. And there are a couple of areas where we have 30 mile an hour streets, but actually one of them is in the county area. So, and just on Woodland for a very short jaunt. So on this, we have a couple of options when it comes to golf. Well, we just really have one option on the golf carts. You can raise the speed limit to 30 to mirror the standard traffic ordinance and the state statute, and give opportunity and leave the other things in place, which I would recommend, which would be, valid unrestricted driver's license, carrying insurance, having lights if you're gonna operate it after dark or before sunlight. And there's some other, having a slow moving vehicle emblem on those, and maybe even adding driving as far to the right on the roadway as you can to help the flow of traffic. The other option is just to try this out and have a sort of pilot to see how this would work as we grow and expand and we incorporate some of those areas and look at speed limits and look at, this option for community members is to take and speaking with Jacob and Public Works, we could lower the speed limit on Victory to 30. You could lower it from in our jurisdiction, which is really around that area of 225th Terrace on the south side of 223rd to Webster. That would allow people from Black Hawk area to get through the neighborhood. They couldn't get out on 223rd because the speed limit would be too high. But they could work their way over to Victory. When they get to 223rd, there's plenty of sight distance going east and west, so you have a little bit of a safer crossing there for carts when it comes to traffic. And then also, of course, as I've driven it several times, I know that Victory is a little bit of a narrow road, but there's not a whole lot of traffic on Victory, it seems like, maybe outside of, 5 to 6 or someone where people are coming home, but they can work their way down into another neighborhood and they can get on Main and come downtown. They can go over to Sycamore, jump over, and they go to the aquatic center in the summer. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to get you completely everywhere you go, maybe, but it would be a beginning to kind of see what we wanted to do as far as future. But right now, on the other side of Spring Hill, there's not really a way to get people in golf carts to the areas that you spoke about earlier in some conversations that we've had. So I'll take questions on golf carts first, and then I'll move to UTVs. But I'll kind of pause here and take any questions that you may have.
I'd even say maybe Webster, do we look at going to 30 there so that for a short portion so people can get around to some of those businesses? Because that's where I think the biggest issue that I've heard too outside of Victory was they can't get to Dollar General or O'Reilly.
You could look at Webster from,
Like Victory to 207th or something.
like
You know what I mean? Like
Victory
just a
to,
short area.
yeah, that's 35 right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jacob has any feelings on that, but I think that would be.
Because that's the other major complaint from people that live over here is that they can't get to some of the businesses or they're getting pulled over for making too long on Webster
Sure.
and then making their turn.
But just have to, the one thing would be just school traffic in the morning,
Yeah.
how congested it gets kind of sometimes down in that, even though it is 20 mile an hour and it's during the school time where they're coming in, leaving middle schools, that might be a little bit, I don't know how much people would take their golf cart down on Webster in that particular time. So this is all dependent on, really.
She's right now, I think I see 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's people take them.
And I know Spring Hill Middle, there's people that are there. Yeah.
Some to the middle school now, so.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of an uptick you'd see, but
Yeah, I'd see as we make it more accessible, people taking their kids to school and
Yeah.
golf courts would
Especially on
become
nice days like.
would become
this
very,
week.
very prevalent very, very quickly.
Yeah, I know there's lots of people, if we made the restrictions less, would consider purchasing a golf cart or getting into the golf cart game because of more accessibility. We definitely would see more school drop-offs and pickups, especially Spring Hill Elementary, Spring Hill Middle.
Mhm.
So that just might be problematic for safety.
Yeah.
Most of your, I know I said this in the last meeting, but I'll reiterate it, just most of your injuries from golf carts come from people being ejected because there are no seat belts. And there's no really, crash protection built into golf carts. So they're a little bit more dangerous in that way. Granted, speeds are slower during school zones, but you still got a lot of vehicular traffic, and they're kind of like motorcycles. It's like, will people see them? Will people avoid them?
Yeah.
So anyway, just something to consider.
And right now, at least from there, you can still get to both those schools. Now, not if you're on the north or south end, but if you're
Yeah.
in the middle of town, you can still get to both of those schools.
yeah, so that's already
Without
something.
driving on Webster other than crossing.
Yeah,
And what's the current speed limits on Victory? Is it 35?
35.
yeah. Both of those are 35 now.
Mhm.
I think Bill.
I was just saying, can we get a public comment since it's a discussion item?
I just. what
Could you
about-
come up here so that people online can hear you?
Oh, you guys can't hear me?
We can hear you, but they can't from the microphone.
Come on, Bill, you stand
I
next to
figured I
me.
was
So.
loud enough. I was told I was talking loud enough. Figured I was loud enough. I just wanted to ask, 199th Street has a line for bicycles. That, where it's got bicycle transportation, can we use that lane for golf carts? And my other question, so I don't bother you later on, Webster, I like to see people have to slow down to 25 going through town, so they stop and do something. Maybe they'll stop and buy a bottle of pop, we might make a penny off that deal.
Yeah, that's kind of my
Enough
thought.
pennies and we'll
behind
get-
Webster being slower.
So that was my other one.
I go through this.
Yeah, same.
So, again, in regards to his question on 199th, it's a speed limit issue.
Right.
So that's really your main
So
concern.
the bike lane's not a separate lane, they consider that still part of the.
So it'd still be against state statute to dig a
Yeah.
golf cart on 199.
Yeah, as if the speed limit was over 30, it'd still be a violation.
It just seems, I guess since it's motorized, cause I mean, bicycles right on there and they take up the entire road.
I mean, as long as there's no bicycles in the bike lane, they could drive as far to the right as they can as required.
Well, no, I'm just saying about the speed limit.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
bikes go slower than that and they take up a whole lane half the time,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
okay.
As we move forward with all the electronic devices that kids are riding around on, I think the lines are starting to legally starting to blur there.
Yeah.
As far as what is and isn't, legally constituted as a bike and a
Like,
bike lane.
yeah,
So
with the scooters and electric bikes, electric
Mm.
scooters.
I personally think maybe starting with a pilot street or two, I think it's a good idea. We don't really have any way of projecting how many people are gonna buy
Yeah.
golf carts moving forward, outside of providing them the opportunity to do so. So I would absolutely be open to entertaining Victory and then a portion of Webster to allow people access to the businesses and schools along that route. I think that'd be a good first step to kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah, and a pilot, we can try it out for a little while. If it's not very successful, then.
Yeah, if we're having issues. with
Whereas if we permanently change it, it's a little bit harder process to go back and change it back again.
I will say, I was talking to the guy over at McCoy, and he said that 50% of the people come in there from Spring Hill, so he gets a ton of business from out here, and I know it's a, very popular subject at this point.
Yeah, and Mayor, just to make sure
Expensive,
you
I think.
understand too, is that we would have to make an ordinance change. So there would have to be a change to the ordinance. And then
Right.
if we decided that it was something that we wanted to change course on, then we could go back and redo it. But
Right.
in order to allow it, we'd have to do that. Am I right, Spencer?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. So, calling it a pilot program is fine as long as the communication to the community is still, the city code is changing, the speed limit will be changing, and you all at any point can go change speed limits. So I think that will be an important part of the city's communication of, we're changing these to allow a golf cart on these streets, just so everyone knows, we're gonna, whatever time you want, 6 months, 12 months, we're gonna reassess this in 12 months. So don't everyone run out and buy golf carts just quite yet, because if it doesn't work, we don't want everyone to have golf carts sitting around doing nothing. But
Well, I think we still have what has been there, so I mean, even if we go to 30 and say, hey, Victory and Webster's not working, we're going back to 35 there, they just know they can't go there.
Yeah.
But,
I have a question real quick. Do you have, so I understand that you said that they have to be licensed, the drivers. I don't have a golf cart, but I live in a neighborhood where I see quite a bit of them, and I see people that are way under the age. So my whole thing is I'm in support of this and doing the pilot, but my concern, maybe because I'm the only mother up here, I don't know, is a 12-year-old driving a golf cart across 223rd on Victory. I run on Victory, and I do have to get way over sometimes. I try to hug it as much as I can without falling off into the ditch. So as long as we're being very mindful that the people are licensed driving these golf carts, and it's not, like I said, some 12-year-old getting on, crossing 223rd Victory once we get the speed limit changed. That's my only concern.
So to ease your concerns, one of the things that I was gonna, I'm glad you hit on that, because this is something I was gonna
Sure.
talk about at the very end, but is to have a very robust educational program for this. So we would also obviously have a social media campaign to talk about
Okay.
these changes and what we're trying to accomplish. We'd hold a couple of public forums at different places and invite people to come, ask questions, find out how they can operate, what the different rules are, and make that available to the public to come and have that kind of Q&A with us about that, so that, and then through this would be probably like a 6-month, like grace period, where we would do more education than any kind of summonsing or ticketing of any, so that we could make sure that, we're getting the word out and that people are, following the law, so.
Sure.
depending on how, and after we talk about UTV, I'm not opposed to even, like we talked about, like the city permitting style, where maybe they come up here and pay a small fee to get their one-time permit, but they also get a pamphlet that says, these are the rules for it. These are what you have to have. Because I know when I first got mine, I didn't know you had to have a specific type of insurance and that kind of stuff. So I'm not opposed to that. It doesn't have to be a big fee. I think Ashley may give me a dirty look, but I think up here they could probably handle, here's your pamphlet, there's your sticker. You have to show us your insurance that you've got it, and, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that either.
Yeah, so on UTVs, just so, kind of move into that for your consideration. You know, UTVs would be a kind of a compromise also to allow those who don't have golf carts and the ability to get or use one because of speed limits and things to be able to get to the places that we've been talking about. UTVs are a little bit more for the road. They have roll cages, they have seat belts, they have lights, they have turn signals, so they're more like a car. They're side by sides. I would still not want to like support ATVs or those kind of vehicles on the roadways, but definitely UTVs. You could operate those on. We could make an ordinance. We would have a standalone ordinance for UTVs because currently right now our UTV and ATV ordinance is one and the same, and we don't allow them, and we only allow them for people who are maybe working to take care of weeds. So for an agricultural purpose. So we would say you can't operate one of these on roads that are more than 45 miles an hour. You'd have to get insurance. You'd have to have a valid driver's license to operate one. And of course, lights, all those things, mufflers, that's already in our current golf cart ordinance. You could just transfer that over to the UTV ordinance, so you wouldn't have these loud mufflers, you know, that sometimes are associated with these types of vehicles, so that if they're gonna operate them in town and stuff, that they're muffled like they're supposed to by law. And so we could incorporate all those pieces into a new ordinance and craft it so that that would allow people that have UTVs to be able to get pretty much anywhere in the city.
I was gonna say that could be our compromise to say, hey, we're doing UTVs because that north side can't get anywhere with golf carts. You can still go out and get this, you know, utility vehicle.
And you could get anywhere in town.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say for us, I would recommend that we prohibit crossing the highway.
Oh, yeah.
The state
100%.
statute does allow for UTVs to cross highways, state and federal highways, as long
A
as
golf cart's gonna see
they're
that
going
thing, they
across.
can do it, yeah.
Golf carts can't do it.
Yeah.
I think it's really dangerous to do that. So obviously they can cross streets that are higher speed limit than theirs, but within the city limits. But we could obviously add something. Spencer, correct me if I'm wrong, but we could add something that says they can't cross a federal, interstate, federal, or state highway. So
Yeah, I'd be 100% in support of that. I think
yeah.
that's just asking for trouble.
yeah.
I don't know much about mufflers and stuff. I know we have a couple UTV owners here that are pro switching over. I don't know if we want to have any of them. I know Brian may want to come say something because we talked about the whole sound ordinance issue, and his wasn't too loud, but I'm not sure what his muffler situation is. I don't know much about that. So
I'm all for keeping the factory mufflers, keeping it as quiet as possible.
Can you state your name and your address just so we have it for record?
Brian Ottenschneider, 21837 South Main Street.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm all for keeping the original factory muffler quiet as possible. I wouldn't be for a time limit on it, like Mr. Mayor mentioned 2 weeks ago. Kind of restrictive, but yeah, and for enforcement, if I'm doing something wrong, I expect to be cited just like in a vehicle.
Right.
yeah.
So
No, that's what I wasn't sure if yours was factory or if that was.
it is.
So yeah, at the factory one definitely sounded just like a normal car or motorcycle. So it wasn't anything crazy, but I would say, yeah, if it was louder than that, it might be a problem. But, and yeah, for me, I wouldn't think there would need to be any kind of time ordinance with that.
Yeah, if it's not a sound, if it's not obnoxiously loud.
So I'd rather go
I
with the
wouldn't have a
muffler
problem
side
with
rather than a time limit.
Yeah.
Because, you could be using it 10:30 at night or whatever.
that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it was more just the sound thing. If we were going to allow the crazy loud ones to, have a sound. But,
Well, that was the only reason I asked you because I know we talked about it. Like he
Absolutely.
knows. I don't have any idea how that stuff works, but.
There is aftermarkets that can increase the sound, but
But if we already have that ordinance on cars, I don't see why we wouldn't have it on the.
Yeah,
side.
I'm sure it's on motorcycles
Yeah,
also.
we
Yeah.
we deal with this all the time when it comes to motorcycles, cars, you know, the same rules apply to them. If they're in violation, they can be stopped and educated or cited, whatever the
Yeah.
officer decided to do with his discretion, so. yeah.
Cool. Well, that makes it a lot easier
Yeah.
for me to understand then.
Sounds
Great.
good.
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd be 100% for both those things as far as, oh. no,
Mr. Delgado,
I
did you have
haven't got
something?
it.
Ivan Delgado, 19914 Boston Street. So I know you said that can't cross the interstate. However, would they be allowed to cross on 199th where there's a street light? Because I feel like if we do that, you're going to exclude all the people in Dayton Creek if they decide to get one because they can't get across.
That would be something that we would need to consider.
I mean,
Again, you're crossing, I haven't thought about it, to be honest with you, until he brought it up, so, you're still crossing an interstate highway that's, people are traveling 65 or faster on. I know there's a red light there, but obviously we do have crashes there. And so, we could, I don't have any crash data for you today to say, you know, how many crashes do we have at 199th and 169, but we could look into that and have that information for you.
we have such extreme traffic issues with our highway intersections. And we've had so many people come in here talk about traffic accidents and issues at those particular junction points, especially 191st Street. Like, I think most people in Dayton Creek would understand they're not being excluded from this, but this is a massive safety issue. You got semi trucks running at 75, 80 miles an hour. So I think crossing the highway is a complete non-starter.
I agree. I mean, my two oldest kids are licensed and I wouldn't let them touch a golf cart trying
Like,
to cross.
we worry
Or
about
UTV
teenagers driving
trying to
cars
cross that
on the
that
highway.
intersection, no matter whether there's a stoplight or not. I think
Yeah.
you just, there's so many, even with the stoplight, there's so many accidents at that intersection. I mean, you hit a UTV, I mean, God forbid, but
Yeah.
they're probably all gone, so.
I mean, I know we want to include everyone. We want everybody to feel like they're a part of the community and a part of the cool things that we have. But I just feel like that would be pushing things way too far. And we would be setting ourselves up for a potential disaster that might ruin the whole ordinance for everything.
Yeah, I would say Dayton Creek gets the benefit of being able to go to Veterans Park and stuff still where this side of the highway doesn't. So there's probably benefits to being on each side.
And over time, as we grow and as more things develop, like, the connection areas are gonna get easier. Like, the connections are gonna come as some of the, as you alluded to, the county land kind of starts filling in. Our city limits kind of looks like a checkerboard sometimes. So yeah, I would not be in favor of going across the highway.
Well, and I think also, like, as our infrastructure increases, where we're widening things, so there can
Yeah.
be room for
Like,
those things.
somehow we want to be able to get pedestrians not in a car from the east side of the highway to Veterans Park.
Yeah, that's the ultimate
You
goal.
know,
for sure.
but I don't know if that's an underground tunnel. I don't know if that's an overhead walking path or trail that could possibly golf carts and UTVs could utilize along with walkers or something like that. You know, that could be in our future, but we know we want to get to Veterans Park, but it's just not attainable right now, or it is certainly not safe.
Yeah, because I know my kids would love to drive their bike to Veterans Park, but there's no way in heck I'm
I
letting
mean,
them
we
cross
want
the
park
highway.
users over there. One of the, you know, it doesn't get as many users because you have to drive to it. You can't walk to it. And if it had some walkability, it would get much more usage.
I mean, I'm not 100% against it, but at the same time, I'm not 100% for it either. So I'm fine with whatever decision to make as far as the highway goes. But yeah, it's not something that I'm gonna hill I'm gonna die on.
Yeah,
for.
Chief, I defer to you on that.
Yeah.
The public safety is your number one job before all the rest of us. So, I'll take your word as gospel on that.
Yeah, I understand what Mr. Delgado's saying, but I just think crossing the highway with one of these vehicles, regardless of whether we have an intersection that's controlled by lights or, you know, any other means at this point is a dangerous proposition and could be, we don't want to have a tragedy, where, you know,
I think it's something we consider if the speed limit starts to decrease because of stoplights and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that's 100% out of the way, but at this point, yeah, with the speed there and the issues we've had, it would be tough, be a tough pill to swallow to say, yeah, you can cross.
Now, if we get stoplights at all those intersections and we drop the speed from South Olathe on down to 223rd down to 55 miles an hour, then
Then I'd
maybe
be, yeah, I'd be
revisit it.
much more.
I'd probably be okay with it at that point. I just think at 65 miles an hour with most everybody going 70s, 72.
And that's the beauty of all this, is we can revisit it.
Yeah, that's the thing, we can revisit, so.
I
So,
think
yeah,
where we're going is perfect, I think. Sitting down with Spencer and kind of looking at what the
Crafting it,
ordinance
yeah.
change would look like. I think a portion of Webster, including those businesses, and then Victory would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll craft an ordinance and work with Spencer and have it before you, at a future meeting here very soon. So,
okay,
any-
great.
Sounds
Thank-
great.
Thanks for doing all that. I know it's, like you said, it got squirrely there after a little bit.
It gets a little complicated until.
Because
you
at first we're
get
like, yeah, no big deal, we'll just go
Yeah.
to 35, and then we go, crap,
Yeah.
this, and now this.
Well, thank you.
All right,
very
thanks.
much. All right, next we'll move on to announcements and reports. Really, the only announcement I have is Fall Festival's this weekend. It's probably our biggest event of the year. Thousands of people come down to Spring Hill, including most everybody that lives here, along with people from other communities. It's lots of fun. They have more vendors this year, I think, than they've ever had before. I think we had 140 last year, and I think they have even more this year. We had more entries in the parade last year than they'd ever had in any previous year, and I would venture to guess it's probably just the same this year, if not more. Looks like the weather's going to be perfect this weekend, so come on down. There's stuff Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all kind of the whole weekend going on. So yeah, come on out. That's really all I got.
No report.
Mr. Thron,
No report today.
Mr. Peel,
See everyone at Fall Festival.
Miss Feedback.
So I do have something. But Allison, I might need your help with this, or Lane. Do you guys want to talk about 191st? Because I always mention it, and then there's been a development.
Had to be a downer.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have not the greatest news about 191st Street. Alice and I went to Olathe to a K7 corridor meeting this week, and KDOT has indicated previously that the project had been conditionally approved, and also had indicated that we would be receiving a $2 million grant for that project. As of this week, that project is on hold. They would like to look at additional alternatives. We are working on scheduling a meeting with KDOT. I anticipate a meeting probably with the Secretary of Department of Transportation and our representatives in Topeka coming up in the next week or so. We'll keep you informed of what happens, but as of now, which is kind of disappointing, we were planning to go out to bid that project here in the next week or so. This project is on hold until they complete that study.
Which is due, next August?
Next year.
Yeah, it's about a 1-year length of study. Typically, the way KDOT does things, it's about a year study, and then it'll take them several months to review the study, and then after that, you just don't know how long it's gonna take before they make approval. I think they've reached out today, indicating that they're moving forward with that, so hopefully it's quicker, but at this point, we just don't know when it'll be done.
Yeah, that 1-year study is gonna be separate from the K7 study that is currently underway.
Yeah, I was
from-
gonna say, aren't they already doing
That's
one?
those are two separate studies. So they're actually engaging a different consultant to do this expedited study for us to review a couple of different intersection alternatives to make sure that the signal is the best safety alternative moving forward. So again, they said that they've already got somebody engaged. They're going to move forward with the study. Hopefully it'll be expedited for us.
So we know it's not the best alternative, but it's the most doable alternative. So I know we've talked a little bit about, can we put something out of who the KDOT representatives that everybody needs to contact if they're upset about this?
I think there will come a point when
He
we
wants
need
to have the meeting.
Yes.
'Cause I already asked him that.
We want to have a meeting with them first
Yeah.
to see
Okay.
where they stand. There are some things coming up on a more positive note. It's called the local consult, and that is where KDOT meets with individuals within the communities. There are a couple opportunities, one in the Kansas City area, one in Topeka, and then an online version We will probably be getting information out about that this coming week. They start the first part of October. We will want to make sure that we have individuals that are concerned about 191st Street, 183rd Street, attend those meetings with specific talking points about that particular, specifically 191st Street intersection. To back up a little bit, I think it was 15 or 20 years ago, KDOT did a K7 corridor study. Within that study, they basically said that the best thing that they could do would be to have some type of full-blown interchange at these intersections. But also within that study, it indicated that there would need to be temporary measures, and signalization would be considered a temporary measure. That temporary measure may last 20 or 30 years, but it's a stepping stone until the $20 or $30 million interchange could be afforded or put into the state's plan. So there's a lot of steps, but yes, I think there will be a time that we will want to reach out. We want to kind of see how this next meeting with KDOT goes and how this expedited study goes.
And basically, we want to try to do an appeal process with this meeting, so we don't want to soil the waters before we kind of appeal their decision.
I had something else, Amy, and you might need, where are we at with the mowing of the grass where Mr. Peterson?
He just brought up when he got here tonight that parts of it are pretty tall, so I'll be checking in with Brandon, have him go out and look at it.
Okay.
Brandon was off at a conference last week, so he's kind of playing catch up this week, but I've let him know.
Okay. I'm
Is
good.
that it? All right, Mr. Massey.
Mine was the 191st Street. So no other
Gotcha.
report.
I beat you to it.
Yep, you did.
Mr. Lau,
No report.
Chief Setterby.
One more quick thing. So animal control, I've had a meeting with Chief Waldeck over at Gardner. Currently, I'm working with her to see if we could have animal control services on a like per call basis, and we would work out some agreement to where their animal control unit would help us with those kind of services. There's no timeline on that. There's a couple of things that the Gardner Police Department is working on in order to make that a possibility. But so in the meantime, we'll be doing animal control as usual and trying to come up with some other maybe ideas on how we can better serve the public in that area. So.
Chief, what about the leash enforcement? I know, Chad, you've brought it up. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah, I mean.
So on the leash enforcement, the way that the city ordinance is written, as long as the animal is on the person's property and they have control over it, they don't necessarily have to have it on a leash. They can have it controlled by voice commands. They can have it controlled by an invisible fence. We can enforce leash laws when they're not on their property and they're out walking a dog on a sidewalk and they don't have a leash on it, or there are in other areas of the city where they're letting a dog run loose. But this is one area I know that has been something that's been brought up, and we've done some enforcement at a particular location because of this, or some education trying to, kind of mediate a situation. But unfortunately, our hands are tied with that particular ordinance because that's pretty standard across different cities and consistent with case law under the subject. So,
Chief, does animal control cover just residential animals, or is it wild animals and residential, or like pets? I'm asking because we have a lot of foxes in town. Some of them don't always look healthy and safe. I've seen them with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like they could possibly be rabid.
I got mange.
Yeah, the mange foxes.
so
So
it's,
I just didn't know if that falls into all the same thing or not.
yeah, so it just depends on how we want to handle those situations. Currently, our officers handle animal control calls because we do not have anyone specifically assigned for animal control. So it is my understanding that in the very, not recently, but in the past, we did try to live trap animals and then release them into the wild. But That came with some criticism as being inhumane, and therefore we discontinued that practice. And so, you know, it's one of those things where we're looking at maybe contacting Department of Wildlife to see if there's anything that they would help us with on that type of issue. A lot of times with wild animals, they will take the lead on that, especially if you like have a bird or something like that that is wild that they can help out with. But on a regular basis, that's something that one of our officers would need to handle if we were trying to solve that problem.
I don't know that we've had any incidents with it, but it's just seemed like they're very frequently seen now.
Yeah, well, this one particular one, he literally hangs out here at City Hall and then just right down the street. He's all kind of circling in the middle of broad daylight.
And
too.
yeah, they're not scared of people or cars or anything. They just kind of hang out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's several council meetings where I've walked in and he was out in the yard.
I'll take a closer look at it and see if there's anything that we can do to try to address it. So, anything else?
Mrs. Abel.
Just a reminder, we have our public open house for 223rd Street next Wednesday, October 1st. It's going to be from 5 to 7 p.m. We're going to host that at the community center off Race Street, so hopefully you guys can come. We are going to publicize it as a city council. We're going to post the meeting, so there's no quorum issues or anything like that. So if you guys want to come, you're welcome to come. It's just going to be an open, informal discussion about the alternative that we've created for the roundabout at Harrison and Webster. And just some of the discussion, get some concerns, see if we can refine that alternative. Again, this is just a master plan. We don't have funding programmed into any sort of budget for these improvements, but we want to make sure that we have the layout confirmed so that whenever we have future development opportunities that come in, we know what kind of right-of-way we need to set aside for these improvements in the future. I was able to look up the question about the 199th Street easements. We are going to actually be well under budget. We had $1 million that was programmed into the CIP. We had $500,000 that was allocated through the CARS funding on that sheet that I had on the PHC sheet. So we had originally had $500,000 programmed in for that. To date, and what our actual number is going to be is less than half of that. So $235,000 is about where we're going to land on the total investment into the easements and right-of-way. So again, we're going to have some budget savings so that we can maybe do something else with that funding in the future. So that's all I've got.
Awesome. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Just a little clarification on the notification that we'll send out for October 1st. That will be a notice letting the public know that you will be attending and there'll be a possible quorum, but there will be no formal action. So just to kind of clarify that a little bit, it won't necessarily be a meeting, it'll just be a notification that you're attending it, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Jones.
No report.
Mr. Spear.
So speaking of Johnson County CARS program, this year's CARS project, 207th Street, resurfacing, repaving is just wrapping up this week. So the paving work is complete usually takes about a couple of weeks for that asphalt to cure out before they do pavement markings. Pavement markings will complete that project and will also complete this year's street maintenance program. So that's wrapping up. And city crews have, we're also kind of racing the clock to get as much street work done while the weather allows before fall and colder fall weather and winter gets here. So our crews have been working hard and done more street rehab work this summer than I think we've done in at least what I've found records for. So they've been all over the city doing a lot of good work, and we'll keep at it, like I said, for as long as Mother Nature will allow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll say it's the most out and about I've seen
Yeah.
since I've been up here.
I did have a question. So the area on Webster Street North where the county came in and put the chip seal down, do they plan on coming in there and striping that? I would assume so, but I obviously noticed they have not done that. I mean, it was striped before, and if they were gonna come cover up the stripes, I assume they're gonna stripe it again.
I don't have an answer for that right now. I've got the same assumptions that you do. So they placed they call temporary tab markers.
Yeah.
So those have been placed, and typically those are used as a visual guide that then the pavement markings crews use to put that down. So the fact that they put those temporary tab markers down certainly makes me think that they're coming back, but it's had enough time
I'll
to.
say
It has.
a
It's been a while. That's why. Could you follow up
Yeah.
with them just to see? Because especially with the entrance to Cardinal Glass and stuff there, there's a turn there, and so I
Yeah.
see a lot of cars completely in the wrong area because they don't really know where the lane's at. So.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the county and see what I can find out.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll end announcements and reports and move into executive session number 1.
Still 10 minutes, good. I move the city council recess into executive session for 10 minutes to receive advice of council regarding economic development pursuant to KSA 754319 B2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:22 PM. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Lane Massey, Allison Abel, Spencer Lau.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened at open meeting at 8:22 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. And with that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 2.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 754319B1 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:44 PM. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Spencer Lau.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. See you soon. All right, welcome back, everyone. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting 8:44 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated, and with that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 3.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 754319B1 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 9:06 p.m. No formal action is anticipated following the sessions. Persons to be in attendance, Spencer Lau.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0.
gotta start getting slap happy. It's after 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 9:06 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. And with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. Have a great night.